morning, everyone, or good evening, good afternoon, depending on where you are in this world. It is morning time here at Baker Creek. Welcome to Baker Creek Live. Today we're going to be answering your questions about bulbs. If you haven't noticed, we are definitely all about bulbs this time of year. It is a limited time offer we have on our bulbs. We're only going to have those for the next maybe about 25 days, depending on how fast they sell out. So if you haven't gotten over and looked at our bulbs, go definitely check out rareseeds.com and look at what we're talking about as far as bulbs. We have John here today, our resident horticulturalist, who's going to talk to us a little bit about or answer some of the questions we have about bulbs. And John, it would be great maybe if you give us a little bit of background on bulbs and how we plant them and things like that. And then if people have questions, they can put those in the comments and we'll get those over.
Okay, what we're talking about here is your fall planted flower bulbs, tulips, hyacinths, daffodils, alliums, flowers like that will sit over the winter, and then in the spring, probably long before frost goes away, you'll get a burst of color which will certainly lighten your mood, does ours. Most of the tulips that we have, pretty much all the bulbs we have come from Holland. So I want to talk a little bit about conditions for successfully growing these bulbs. The Netherlands are a very temperate region, so they have a relatively mild winter, but winter nonetheless, and a mild summer, but a summer nonetheless. So the mid-tier of states in America is going to be where you'll have the least good success and the least amount of strange effort to keep them going. With the cool season, the bulbs need to have a cool season, a winter. If you're in Houston, I know we have a question about bulbs in Houston. If you're in Houston, it might be necessary to dig them up after the foliage dies in the summer and bring them inside and stick them in the fridge to induce an artificial winter. Arizona, New Mexico, Southern Cal, places that get pretty hot in the summer, the bulbs could cook right in the ground, resulting in their death. So if you want to run them for multiple years, it's probably not a bad idea to pop them out of the ground, clean them off. I think wrapping them in newspaper and putting them in the crisper drawer of your garage refrigerator. That way they'll think it's winter. Same kind of applies up north. If you're in Minnesota, the Dakotas, where you get a real hard winter, freezing them for 4 months probably isn't such a good idea. So you might think about mulching them with 6 inches of straw or something to protect them from the extremes of your winter. So if you're in the mid states, they're pretty much plant them and ignore them. But you got to have a cooling period if you're down south, and you need to protect them from being froze like a rock for 6 months up north.
Okay. Now we got a couple of questions. Janet was asking, how do you keep squirrels from digging all of my bulbs up?
Let's see, varmints. If it isn't the squirrels, I got one the other day about the gophers, same kind of thing. Janet, I guess I'd say get a roll of chicken wire from your local hardware store, and after you plant your bulbs, pin the chicken wire to the ground, secure it so they can't get under the edge, and leave it on there until spring when you see the tulips start to emerge. You see the little tips coming up this far, and it's like, oh boy, here they come. And then pull the wire and hope that the squirrels, gophers, varmints will leave them alone for a week, long enough for them to get up and get big enough.
Okay.
Because, the little rascals will dig them up, eat them up, and cause you grief.
Angie's asking, what's your favorite bulb?
Oh, gosh. Let's see, I like the parrot tulips a lot. They are wildly colorful and frilly, and in mass planting, you put 100 of them in a bed, and boy, you'll notice it. So I like the parrot tulips. The hyacinths are fragrant, and we'll put a couple of hundred right here by the front door, and you can smell them from 15 feet away. The allium bulbs are kind of moving up on my list. Uh, that flower spike that sticks up 3 feet in the air with this big old giant ball of flowers on it. It's kind of, we get more people in the seed store asking, what's that? Than pretty much anything around here. On the bottom of the list would have to be narcissus. I'm sorry. They're nice in the spring. You can put them in a bowl and force them inside and have some flower color. But they don't smell that good, and they're kind of short-lived. And, you know, everybody's got their own opinion. I like the tulips and the alliums and the hyacinths the best in my mind.
Let's see, we had a question about community gardening. Let's see, what about that one?
Do you have to split any of them like irises? Okay, if you're in the temperate zone, middle America, Iowa, Missouri, east and west, the tulip bulbs are going to reproduce underground with little bulblets coming off the side of the bulb. Eventually, I'm going to call it the mother bulb, will die, and you'll have 6-8 little bulblets around the edges. Okay, these bulblets will form bulbs, but there's a difference between the bulbs you'll get out of the bulblets that you'll have in your garden and the commercially produced mother bulbs that the companies make for that one big burst. It'll take several years of growing the bulblet to get it to the stage where you're going to get a nice big flower out of it, because it has to mature. And in order for it to mature that way, you need to treat it like you're trying to grow a bulb. Bone meal, feed it when the foliage is on, feed the heck out of it, because that's producing the energy that's going back into the bulb that'll make the flower next year. So trying to recreate the commercial bulb that you buy out of your garden is a little tougher than just ignoring it.
Do you know if we have the parrot tulip bulbs on the site now? I haven't checked.
Yes, we have them. Yeah, sure. Flaming parrot, Texas. There's a Texas flame.
Texas flame.
There's several parrot tulip types. Yeah. Brightly colored, yellows and reds are my favorites. And I know there's several of them online.
All right. Preparing very rocky soil to plant tulips.
Well, let's see. This one's kind of funny. We're here in the Ozarks. Our Ozarkian topsoil is about half rock, half clay. Best suggestion is get a 2-foot square screen, get some hardware cloth from down at the hardware store, shovel your soil onto the screen, shake it vigorously, throw the rocks one way, throw the soil the other way, repeat until you have enough decent soil. Take the rocks, throw them in the driveway, or make a raised rock garden out of them. Plant some stuff and put the rocks around them so it's cute. But yeah, that's something we find here, and it takes a lot of 5-gallon buckets full of rocks to generate decent 8 inches of soil.
And that's about what you need for
most bulbs. You want
6 to 8
inches. 6 to 8 inches. You want to put them 5-6 inches deep, but you want to have some soil underneath them for the roots to grow in too. So I would probably recommend 8 inches of decent soil over your bulbs. Mm-hmm. And the rocks are rocks. A few of them won't hurt anything, but you can't grow them in the driveway.
All right, we got a lot of thank yous. Thank you from Donna. Thank you from Angie. And let's see. I like companion planting. What is a good plant around peonies to help keep ants away?
Okay, this is an odd one.
That's not tulips, so we need to skip that one. We can skip it.
But just in general, the ants are part of the peony's life cycle. They'll pollinate the flowers. There's always ants on peonies, and there always will be. Yeah, you don't like ants, but it's part of the natural cycle for peonies.
All right, and then we got one on lilies.
Lilies.
Planted stargazer lilies in the wrong place. Is this a good time to dig up and move them?
I would say, yeah, fall is the best time for popping your iris out and subdividing them. The lilies are going to be the same way. They should be going dormant. All of the energy the plant has produced should be down in the bulb, tuber, rhizome, whatever is the underground structure, and now is the time to dig them up and move them if you need to, because winter's coming. It's going to be tough to dig up north in here in a month. Ground freezes hard.
All right. Now, there's a machine going behind us.
Back
You hear that rumbling? Do you know anything about that machine that's rumbling behind us?
Yes, I do. Let's see, last spring we had about 15,000 tulip bulbs planted right here behind us in the tile garden.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty spectacular. We had an issue. We feel that we had an infection of botrytis. Botrytis is a, I think, fungal infection that infects the flowers on plants. Stunts them, makes them look poor. So we were unhappy with that possibility. So this year we decided to steam sterilize the 92 beds in the tile garden. So the rumble, and I don't know if Michelle's going to pan over there or not, the rumble is a large black, looks like a tar kettle. Got diesel powered blower in it, heating up water to the boiling point.
A windy fall day here at Baker Creek.
Underneath,
we have a video on it.
Underneath the plastic that's laid out to raise the soil temperature about 180 degrees. The 180 degrees will kill the botrytis, weed seed, everything pretty much that's in the soil. So it's a soil sterilizing method.
Now, we actually have a video. Jordan was explaining a lot of what he was doing with that bed yesterday. So let's roll that video and hear from Jordan to tell us about the steam machine.
This is the tile garden, and we're getting geared up for our spring tulip festival. So what we're doing this year to make better bulbs is we are sterilizing our soil with steam. So what you see here behind me is a steam sterilization process using a diesel-fired steam boiler, which is creating steam at 210, 220 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's getting injected into the beds. Basically what we're doing is we're sterilizing the soil, killing all the bad pathogens to get better tulip bulb production in the spring. The tulip production last year was good, but it was a little lackluster. There was some botrytis issues. So we have some friends in Holland, and they recommended you got to steam it. That's the way. That's the we are. The soil is supposed to get to like 180 degrees. It takes about 2 to 3 hours, and you just probe it into the plastic, and you're able to see what the temperature is. And you're trying to go for like 6 to 8 inches down to get that heat to penetrate into the soil structure. But if you were to touch this right now, I mean, it's way too hot to the touch. It's steaming hot. So it's pretty cool. This is a unit we got from Curtis Millsap, borrowed it from a friend of ours, Millsap Farms. It was made in 1970, right around there. So, I mean, it's an old machine. It's completely homemade, homemade welds, homemade electrical, but it works. It's a diesel-fired boiler. So what that means is there's a diesel tank that pumps diesel, ignites the diesel, heats up a flame, and around that flame is a hot water tank. And so that water is building and building and building till it's boiling, till it captures the steam, and then on the top of the tank is the steam outlet. So it's like basically putting a kettle on your stove.
Are we back?
Yes, we're back.
Okay, we're back.
A little bit of delay.
I don't know those things. Farmer.
So now that we know, oops,
Should look down at the thing.
Okay, Janet asks, I want to plant summer blooming bulbs, but I have too many daylilies. When so I remove them, when do I plant the others? So if you remove the daylilies, I'm assuming when do you plant the other bulbs? It's the same time, right?
At the same time.
Yeah, pull them out, put the new ones in. And
Pull them out,
good to go.
fluff it up good, throw a little bone meal in the hole, put your new ones in. Save the old ones. There's a neighbor down the road that wants your old daylilies. Or put them on one of the social media platforms. Free daylilies. People will take them.
All right. And then we got one on.
Always pass on your plans.
Yeah, share.
Share.
Definitely share. It'll always come back to you.
Yeah.
All right. So in Boston, Caroline, let's see, she just sent an order of hyacinth. Most of them I plan to plant in the ground. If I refrigerate some for indoor forcing, how long a winter would they need?
Oh, I'd probably put them in the fridge for a couple months. It depends on when you want to force them. If you want them up and blooming in January, then stick them in the fridge now. Pull them out when you're ready to start forcing. Put them in a pot. Don't bury them too deep, just below surface, shallower than you do if you're going to put them outside. Warm them up, water them, and boom, you'll have flowers in 30 days, something like that.
All right.
I love winter flowers.
All right, Donna asks, do tulips bloom before peonies?
Yes, the tulips we have here will be up April 15th, which is 45 days, 15, 20 days before last frost. The peonies will still be frosted down. Yeah, the peonies will come much later. They're going to be mid-June, into June.
All right, and one more. Best spacing for tulip and daffodil bulbs.
Okay, there's two options here. If you're going to plant them one time and to have a mass flowers like we do, you can pack them in an inch apart. If you're going to grow them for successive seasons, you need to have the spacing increased to about 5-6 inches, because if for multiple seasons, the foliage has to have room after the flower blooms, the foliage, and during the foliage comes up, but the foliage needs to stay on them until it burns off by itself mid-June. And if you have them packed an inch apart, you're going to have such dense foliage that they're not going to get enough energy going back into the bulb for a repeat bloom. So if you're just going for the mass wow effect, you can have them an inch apart. But that won't give the foliage enough space after bloom to create enough energy for a rebloom the following year. You need to space them a little more and give them a chance to unfold leaves and have room to grow. So depending on which way you want to do it, it depends on how, if you want the mass effect, put them an inch apart and you'll have tulips till who flung the chunk.
All right, we got another repeat question on the squirrels. Look back at the stream. We'll be posting this one online. You can see that one. There is an answer for squirrels. It's wire. It's probably the best option.
Well, they're tasty.
That's true. That's true. All right, so I think that's most of the questions. If you do have any other questions, definitely put those in the chat. We're going to be here for another couple minutes. But just to give you guys an idea, if you want to go to rareseeds.com, check out the front page. You'll see all of the different bulb options we have available. Remember, these are limited time offerings. So we only get the bulbs in, we got them in late last month, late September, and they're usually gone by the end of October or the first week or so in November. So if you're thinking about bulbs, make sure you go ahead and grab those before they're gone, because once they're gone, we won't get another shipment until next year around this time. So any other questions about bulbs? I think we have...
Still got plenty of time to plant them. As long as you can get a shovel in the ground, you can get a bulb in the ground.
Northwest Texas, sandy loam soil. Each year I plant daffodil bulbs for naturalizing. But most of them don't return the next year. Any advice? So not return
sandy loam. North Texas?
Yeah, Northeast Texas.
Okay, that would be. Okay, the only suggestion I got right now is I'm wondering with the sandy loam is if your nutrition gets pretty much washed out. You might want to throw a complete fertilizer or do some manure over the top after they bloom in order to make sure that the leaves that are coming up are well fed. That should produce energy to have the bulb survive and to divide. So I would probably say, because you're sandy, you're going to wash nutrients out relatively quickly, and Northwest Texas should get enough rain that it's going to make your soil kind of become less fertile than it should be. So I'd probably see about hitting them with any sort of complete fertilizer, or depending if you're organic, some manure, compost tea, that kind of stuff after the bloom. You don't want to feed nitrogen before they flower, because then you'll get a lot of leaves and no flowers. You want to feed them after they flower. So that'd be my first suggestion right there.
Good tip. Tina says, I love Baker Creek seeds. We love that you love the seeds. All right. Okay. Thank you.
If they got questions, they can run on the contact form too.
Yeah, because you're answering all of our questions.
Most of our questions. All of them.
You're answering most of the questions online as well.
No, so. Easy. I don't type very fast. I'm a farmer now, so these are old.
But yes, anytime you have questions and you're putting those in on the contact form on the website, I think you even get the ones on Facebook as well, right? You see those every once in a while?
Well, I'm sure rather do the contact form on the website.
You like the contact form?
Yeah, on the Facebook.
He likes the contact form on the website. So
if
you want to talk to him, send him.
I'm uncomfortable with Facebook. Just because I'm old. All these young people around here don't just know it in and out, and it takes me a long time to figure it out. I'm a farmer, not a Facebooker. Nothing against Facebook.
Okay, Donna was asking, when should bulbs be planted to grow and bloom in the Houston area? What's the zone? What's Houston's
about
zone?
9A, 9B. Donna, you're lucky. You still got 45 days of summer left, or fall. You want to get them in the ground. I'd be putting them in mid-November. Okay, you're going to have a first frost probably November 15th or something. Stick them in mid-November, and then think about if you'll be up early. You'll be blooming, I bet, 30 days before we will. Tulip bloom will be in March. March is April 15th. You'll probably be in March. You might need to dig them up and chill them after the foliage dies off, or else they're going to cook. It's pretty hot in Houston.
Oh, looks like we lost the camera.
Uh-oh.
All right. Is it delay?
Looks like it. We're back. Looks like we're back.
Okay. Janet asks, will raccoons eat any bulbs I might plant?
Back to the varmints.
They'll eat them. They'll probably dig them up just to see what they are.
And here's something too. If you put bone meal in the ground, a lot of the varmints can smell it. They're thinking there might be something there to eat. So, same advice for raccoons. You might get a little heavier wire, staple it down good. The critters are tough. But yeah, I would assume, depending on how hungry they are, that yeah, they'll probably try to get after your bulbs too. I know deer get ours. They're big varmints.
I'll take you too.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Probably get in trouble for that.
Yeah, we're going to get in trouble now. All right. So, thank you for joining us for Baker Creek Live. We're going to cut that off right there.
Yeah, but good time to stop.
Good time to stop. Yep. All right. So, if you do have any other questions, definitely send those through the contact form. And remember, the bulbs are a limited time, so check those out at rareseeds.com. And if you do have any other questions, you can also put those here on this live stream. And we'll be posting this live stream afterwards as well. So if you have any questions that were answered earlier that you want to get better clarification on it, you can listen to that and then ask any follow-up questions. So thank you guys for joining us. We will see you on the next Baker Creek Live. We try to do a live stream every week. So we'll see you definitely next week on another live stream. We may or may not have John. We'll see. See you guys.
Bye.